Greetings, programs. Welcome to Rationality, From AI to Zombies. Chapter 28, Conservation of Expected Evidence. Friedrich Spee von Langenfeld, a priest who heard the confessions of condemned witches, wrote in 1631 the Curatio Criminalis, Prudence in Criminal Cases, in which he bitingly described the decision tree for condemning accused witches. If the witch had led an evil and improper life, she was guilty. If she had led a good and proper life, this too was proof, for witches dissemble and try to appear especially virtuous. After the woman was put in prison, if she was afraid, this proved her guilt. If she was not afraid, this proved her guilt, for witches characteristically pretend innocence and wear a bold front. Or, hearing a denunciation of witchcraft against her, she might seek flight or to remain. If she ran, that proved her guilt. If she remained, the devil had detained her so she could not get away. Spee acted as a confessor to many witches. Thus, he was in a position to observe every branch of the accusation tree. No matter what the accused witch said or did, it was held as proof against her. In any individual case, you could only hear one branch of the dilemma. It is for this reason that scientists write down their experimental predictions in advance. But you can't have it both ways. As a matter of probability theory, not mere fairness, the rule that absence of evidence is evidence of absence is a special case of a more general law, which I would name conservation of expected evidence. The expectation of the posterior probability after viewing the evidence must equal the prior probability. Therefore, for every expectation of evidence, there is an equal and opposite expectation of counter-evidence. If you expect a strong probability of seeing weak evidence in one direction, it must be balanced by a weak expectation of seeing strong evidence in the other direction. If you are very confident in your theory and therefore anticipate seeing an outcome that matches your hypothesis, this can only provide a very small increment to your belief, as it is already close to 1. But the unexpected failure of your prediction would, and must, deal your confidence a huge blow. On average, you must expect to be exactly as confident as when you started out. Equivalently, the mere expectation of encountering evidence before you've actually seen it should not shift your prior beliefs. Again, if this is not intuitively obvious, see the chapter An Intuitive Explanation of Bayesian Reading. If you claim that no sabotage is evidence for the existence of a Japanese-American fifth column, you must conversely hold that seeing sabotage would argue against a fifth column. If you claim that a good and proper life is evidence that a woman is a witch, then an evil and improper life must be evidence that she is not a witch. If you argue that God, to test humanity's faith, refuses to reveal his existence, then the miracles described in the Bible must argue against his existence. Doesn't sound quite right, does it? Pay attention to that feeling of "this seems a little forced," that quiet strain in the back of your mind. It's important. For a true Bayesian, it is impossible to seek evidence that confirms a theory. There is no possible plan that you can devise, no clever strategy, no cunning device, by which you can legitimately expect your confidence in a fixed proposition to be higher, on average, than before. You can only ever seek evidence to test a theory, not to confirm it. This realization can take quite a load off your mind. You need not worry about how to interpret every possible experimental result to confirm your theory. You don't need bother planning how to make any given iota of evidence confirm your theory, because you know that for every expectation of evidence, there's an equal and opposite expectation of counter-evidence. If you try to weaken the counter-evidence of a possible abnormal observation, you can only do it by weakening the support of a normal observation to a precisely equal and opposite degree. It is a zero-sum game. No matter how you connive, no matter how you argue, no matter how you strategize, you can't possibly expect the resulting game plan to shift your beliefs, on average, in a particular direction. You might as well sit back and relax while you wait for the evidence to come in. Human psychology is so screwed up. Here ends chapter 28. Now for my thoughts. I'd say the simplest and clearest way to explain this is what was mentioned earlier. You can't have it both ways. If one thing is evidence for your idea, then the opposite must be evidence against it. You can't have it both ways. That's not only not logical, it literally just doesn't work. And that reversal of the process is a very handy way of revealing things. Much like looking at a photo negative will often reveal small details that you would have missed otherwise. If you turn the whole argument inside out, if you have this idea that such and such will confirm my idea, and then you reverse it, that the opposite of such and such will disconfirm your idea, if that then seems insane, bizarre, or just plain stupid, it's probably a good sign that your original idea and the evidence for it don't work. This, I think and hope, is what he's talking about with that whole quiet strain in the back of your mind bit. Right, well, that's all for chapter 28. Gosh, that was a bit of a short one. On to chapter 29. Bye for now.